Hello and welcome to my review of the brand new Necrons Monolith. This box set will set you back £105. That's an astronomical amount of money. It now means that this is the most expensive model for the Necron army and the most expensive model for Warhammer 40,000 from Games Workshop. The Imperial Knight Castellan is £100. This thing is £105. It's gone from a heavy support choice that cost £50 or so, a little bit more than a Land Raider, to a Lord of War choice that is over double the price. It does come in a very thick box though. This thick box is 3.5 times thicker than the Void Dragon box. I just put that out there. It's a nice box. It's a shame it's not a box that you can pull open the top rather than the sides, because then you could use it to store some of your Necron minis from this release. I mean, you could still use the drawer that comes with it, but I would have preferred it if it was a top flap box. Anyway, you can see there's absolute shed load of detail on this model. Maybe there's too much detail. You've got a Necron warrior coming through the portal, which I think is fantastic. Way better than a cheap bit of glowy green plastic, in my opinion, to have a model that is quite clearly showing what's happening. The energy pipes look brilliant. The exhausts look fantastic. The weapons look cool. You've got a choice there between the Death Rays and the Gauze Flux arcs. Let's not forget it's got the Particle Whip, and it can use the Portal of Exile as its melee weapon. Unfortunately, I don't have the Obelisk or Tesseract Vault, so I can't show you a size comparison with either of those two. Put it down in the comments below if you would like to see one of those monolith type Necron vehicles in the army, and if that's the case, I will do a comparison with one of those and this new monolith. What we'll do first is we'll look at all of the detail in this model, of which there's an absolute shed load. Then I'll go through the spare parts, which there aren't that many, and then finally we'll go through the size comparisons. I'll compare it with the Void Dragon and the Silent King and the Doomstalker, as well as all the usual miniatures. So the detail then. Now, I have sub-assembled this. What that means is I haven't glued everything, and I would strongly suggest you don't glue everything too. I haven't decided which is going to be the front and which is going to be the rear. As you can see, look, that will fall out because it's sub-assembly. I haven't glued that. I want to paint that separately. I haven't glued these because there's so much detail and things in there, which you'll be able to see from either side and from the top. There's lots of gaps in the model, that's on purpose obviously, little windows of where you can see certain things happening. You know, the inside of these arches all the way down have got these symbols and things on them. So yeah, Games Workshop have put a load of detail inside this model as well as on the outside. I think that's one of the reasons why it costs so much. These I've left out because I want to spray them separately. I will be putting them in my typical Blackstone colours, you know, the nice blue that I managed to work on. I've equipped it with the Death Rays. You can't necessarily magnetise these, unfortunately, because of the way the other weapons work. They're on their own separate rotating mounts. I've glued them in place. You can try and not glue them, but you know, if they're not magnetized, they're going to fall down. So just bear that in mind when you're building it. Please do go check out my live stream build guide on the channel. At present day of recording, it is members only though. It's one of the benefits of being a member. You got access to all my live streams. If we take this part off too, there you go. And then finally we've got this golf ball trophy where the Particle Whip will lash out. This isn't glued either because I want to spray these. So if you do the part assembly like I have, in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts with the Blackstone separate, then I think that will be one of the easiest ways. Potentially you could take these pieces off as well and really get in, you know, to the sides with your brush. So that might be an option, to not glue the cabling both sides of this the particle whip, but definitely leave off this spider because you want to be gluing all his belly and his little guns or lasers or whatever you want to call them. So there you go. There's plenty of detail up here. I think it consists of about 6 sprues from my unboxing, and 2 of those sprues are duplicated, so there's your 4, and then the other 2 are for the spider and the more detailed parts. But as you can see, there's this energy thing, this glowing orb in there, and the big ball thing will be glowing. You've got detail on the spider itself, this Canoptek spider, nice tail that's wrapped around another glowy orb thing. Plenty of detail in there, clearly very Necron looking. The warrior, I like how it's half appearing out of this portal, that's nice. And then these big chunks too. I haven't filed this side at all. I filed that side, so I will be doing that before I spray it, but I'm going to be spraying it very soon. I think I just need to get another can of spray for it. But yeah, there's loads of detail. I wasn't a big fan of the chipped structure and things, but now that I know it's a Lord of War and I'll only ever take one, I kind of get it and it makes sense. I think the death rays look good, the rules wise, they've been updated and they're quite beefy. But yeah, as you can see, loads of detail on this, on the sides. Do I think they could have made some changes in the decisions of making this model? Yeah. Definitely the price is a stinging factor, and the fact that it's Lord of War. It's strange that they've done that. They have made it pretty powerful though. I would have preferred them to have the price point, if they were going to increase it, maybe like £80 maximum, but still have it as a heavy support choice, but have it as one of their best heavy support choices, like their version of the Land Raider. But hey, it is what it is. As a Lord of War choice, you're pretty much only going to get one of them. And yeah, it's the most expensive Necron model, and Games Workshop and 40k model now. Okay then, so spare parts, you don't get a huge amount. It's mainly the other portal, which yeah, you could use on a base maybe, or as part of scenery, or as part of your board. 2 pillars flanking this, and this in the middle of them. That's quite cool. You don't have to use the one with the warrior coming through, but I will. So that's fine if I did get a second one, which there's really no point for me because it's the Lord of War choice. But if I was ever to get a second one, I'd use this clear portal, and I'd probably use the Gauss Flux Arcs on there instead, just for a bit of variety, but everything else is going to look the same. Speaking of the Gauss Flux Arcs, here they are. As you can see, this is the what I was talking about the weapon here. I think I can, this side, yeah. So yeah, it looks cool with these, and death rays just sound so much better. But yeah, these are the Gauss Flux Arcs. They follow the same aesthetics as the normal Gauss flayers themselves, but word of warning, if you do paint them, they're going to be tricky to paint the glow in there, so I would actually keep these weapons sub-assembly, so you can get into the orb side of things. You might be able to work it out, but it's just the highlighting as well in there. Bit tricky, but yeah, unfortunately you can't hot swap them. For a model this price, that's what I would be expecting. You also get the tips of these Gauss Flare Arcs as well, that just go on there, and you get these 2 extra pieces that would have gone, mainly because some of the sprues are twins, so yeah, you're going to have these 2 pieces left over, and that's it for the spare parts. There you go, that is the Necron Monolith. Let's go through some size comparisons then. So it's probably best if I take that thick box out of the way. So here's a Doomstalker, one of the tallest models in new range, and yeah, it's a fair bit bigger than even a Doomstalker, so that's nice. I mean, if you didn't have it hovering, it would still be bigger because of those arches, so that's great. Next to the tallest model though, the Silent King. The Silent King still beats it. Silent King is still the tallest model in the Necron army. This top pillar is very, very hard to beat. It just goes a little bit higher than the arches, but the arches go higher than the Catan itself. They all look great with each other. And then compared to the Shard of the Void Dragon, the Shard of the Void Dragon is smaller than the Silent King, so of course it's going to be smaller than the Monolith 2. It's nice to see all of the tallest models out and about, and it's odd when you look at it that there's over £300 worth of models in just those four right there. But there you go, that's the new Necron range for you. Hope those size comparisons have helped. The Monolith, as you can see, is a big model. It's got a lot of presence there, more presence than any of the others. The Void Dragon does come close though, with the wings and the lightning, but I would definitely give it to the thick Monolith. It's a thick kit, thick model, lots of presence. You're not going to miss one of those hovering about the battlefield. The final sort of size comparison I like to make, bear in mind I've taken it off the base now, is just with the Legacy Space Marine, Slime Marbo and Primaris. I did wonder whether to even put a size comparison for these three models, but if you can just imagine it hovering about that high, yeah. The Primaris are barely going to come up to there. On it, it's a huge, it's a very large unit, bigger than the Land Raiders and Repulsor tanks, and it's going to be one of the largest things on the battlefield for 40k. But if you know how tall the Space Marines are, then that gives you a useful idea of the size. So, just how good is this Necron Monolith in game? I've already brought your attention to the fact that it's a Lord of War, and that might surprise a few of you. Maybe not as much of a surprise that Space Marine Scouts are now elite. Space Marine Scouts are now an elite choice in the army. But still, the Monolith then, it's a Lord of War choice. Necrons, I think Necrons have more Lord of War choices than any other army. They have no fewer than 4. Typically, an army would have 1. But it is what it is. You've got the Obelisk, the Tesseract Vault, this Monolith, and the Silent King. The Monolith itself is a power points cost of 19, and it's a points cost of 360 points. You're going to have to pay for the death rays at plus 5 points. How does its stat line read then? Well, it's a movement of 8 inches, it's a weapon skill of 6+, ballistic skill is 3+, strength 8, toughness 8, 24 wounds, 6 attacks, leadership 10, and a save of 2+. That's actually worse than the Obelisk. The Obelisk has 28 wounds for the same power points cost. I do like the 2+ save though. A Monolith is equipped with 4 Gorse Flux Arcs, Particle Whip, and Portal of Exile. The Gorse Flux Arcs are a 30-inch range, rapid fire 3, strength 5, AP -2, and a damage 1. That's alright, you know, it's got 4 of them, so you'd be looking at 12 shots. However, I think the death rays are where it's at. They're a range 24-inch, heavy 1, strength 9, AP -3, damage D3 +3. They're very similar to Las Talons. The Particle Whip, which is the main weapon of this vehicle, it's a 36-inch range, heavy D6, strength 12, AP -3, damage 3, and it's a blast weapon. That's the main reason why you're getting this thing. Another reason is the Portal of Exile. It's the strength of the user, which would be 8, AP -3, damage 3. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, that attack automatically hits the target. So, worth you getting this thing in combat. It doesn't matter about the weapon skill 6 because it's automatically going to hit. You've got your 6 attacks at the strength 8, AP -3, damage 3. Fantastic. I wouldn't ignore this thing's potential in close combat. This model's 4 Gorse Flux Arcs can be replaced with 4 Death Rays. Abilities: Living Metal, Command Protocols. Death Descending. During deployment you can set up this model in the upper atmosphere instead of placing it on the battlefield. If you do, then during the reinforcement step of one of your movement phases, you can set up this unit anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from any enemy models. So that's fantastic. It's deep striking, basically. Hovering. Distances are measured to and from either this model's hull or its base, whichever is the closest. I can assure you now it's going to be its hull. Explodes. When this model is destroyed, roll 1d6 before removing it from play. On a 6 it explodes and each unit within 6 inches suffers d6 mortal wounds. Eternity Gate. In your movement phase, if this model remains stationary, then in the reinforcement step of that phase it can summon a unit. If it does, select one Dynasty Core Infantry unit from your army that is in strategic reserves, set up that unit anywhere on the battlefield that it is wholly within 3 inches of this model and not within engagement range of any enemy models. Models in this unit that are set up using this ability count as having moved a distance in inches equal to their move characteristic in the movement phase. Keywords: Necrons, Vehicle, Titanic, Monolith. So there you go, an absolute beast of a unit. It's expensive at the 360 points. The power points are quite costly. It is a Lord of War choice, but when you put one of these on the battlefield, you can essentially deep strike it anywhere on the battlefield, more than 9 inches away from units. Then you can let rip with that particle whip, the Gorse Flux Arcs, the Death Rays, and then on top of that, in the movement phase, if it doesn't move, you can then start churning out your units, your Dynasty Core units, of which there are quite a few. Everything from Death Marks to Lich Guard to Warriors, Immortals, and so on. You know, you can have a unit of 20 Necron Warriors come out of this thing with their Gorse Reapers. You could have a unit of 10 Lich Guard come out, or with War Scythes. So it's an extremely useful model. Yes, it doesn't have the quantum shielding, which I was expecting it to have. Having this thing with a transtemporal force field at 4+, or some kind of 5+ invulnerable save, that would have been amazing. 5+ invulnerable, 2+ normal, yeah, it would have made up its points cost. As it stands, it might be a bit of an effort to make up its points cost once it arrives, unless you start churning out, you know, 20 warriors at a time through the portal. But what do you guys think of this monolith, of both the model and the rules? Have you picked one up? Have you used it in game? I know there's a lot of things going on in the world right now, but if you have used it in game, please do put your experiences down in the comments below. It'd be great to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Silent King protects.